Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're really zeroing in on a topic that I think is at the heart of any really successful nonprofit.
hmm
Major gifts.
It's the big leagues.
It really is.
Yeah.
And whether you are a seasoned development professional or maybe you're just starting to kind of explore the world of philanthropy, we're going to unpack some really seriously smart strategies today from a true expert in the field, Tammy Zonker.
Tammy's been doing this a long time, almost 30 years. She's been guiding nonprofits toward those really game-changing donations. Her insights they're fantastic. And she recently shared some of her best advice in a LinkedIn article about building just a killer major gifts pipeline.
And that's what we're diving into today. All her advice, her anecdotes, those aha moments that make you rethink maybe how you're approaching it a little bit. We're talking about the actionable insights to help you build a major gifts program that really delivers.
And she starts by, getting real about something that trips up a lot of nonprofits, and that's the pipeline itself. We hear pipeline. What is a pipeline? Tammy's adamant that this isn't just some fundraising buzzword, like it's not just a thing we say.
Right.
It's the lifeblood of a successful major gifts program.
Okay, I love that she cuts straight to the chase. Like, this is important.
It is.
But for someone who's like, okay, I've heard of major gifts, I know they're important. Why is a structured pipeline so crucial? What does it actually do?
It's all about strategy. I always think of it like, imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Oh yeah, chaos.
It'd be chaos. Total chaos. And that's what it is when you go into major gifts fundraising, or really any kind of fundraising, without a plan, without that strategy. So that major gift pipeline is your blueprint. It's a system that guides you through every step of the process, from identifying potential donors all the way to securing those gifts.
So you're taking that initial spark of interest, right? Maybe someone came to an event or they follow you on social media or something. It's taking that and through careful cultivation, turning that into, a roaring fire of support.
Exactly. And Tammy breaks down that entire process, like walks you through the different stages of the pipeline, identifying those prospects, qualifying them based on their capacity and affinity, cultivating those relationships, making the ask when the timing is right, and then crucially, stewarding those gifts to make sure that they stay engaged for the long haul.
So that's the thing. It's not just about getting that one donation.
Yeah.
It's turning them into somebody who really believes in your mission.
Absolutely. But building that pipeline, it's not always easy. And Tammy, she doesn't shy away from that. She tackles it head on. And the first hurdle she addresses is something I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to, finding those hidden gems.
Yes.
Those potential donors that might be lurking right under your nose.
Okay, yes. Especially, I think, for, smaller nonprofits, it can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. Where do you even begin? Who are these mythical creatures and how do we find them?
Right. They are mythical. And you'd be surprised because Tammy's solution, it's actually surprisingly simple. You start with who you know. It's all about taking a close look at your existing donor base. Especially look at those loyal annual givers, those people who consistently show up for your organization. They already believe in your work. That is a huge head start.
That makes sense. It's so easy to get caught up in like, oh, we need these big donors, that you forget about this incredible generosity that often exists already within like your own community of supporters.
Exactly. And Tammy actually has a great case study in her article that really illustrates this point. She talks about working with this organization that was really struggling to find new major gift prospects. They felt like they had tapped out their network. Like, we've asked everyone, we've talked to everyone, we're done. But Tammy, she encouraged them to dig a little bit deeper, to analyze past donation data, maybe utilize wealth screening tools, things like that, to really uncover hidden potential within their existing donor base.
And I'm assuming they did. They struck gold.
They did. They uncovered 50 new major gift prospects. 50. People who are already passionate of that work, who already had that affinity and had the capacity to give at a much higher level.
See, that's incredible. That's 50 new prospects just by, like you said, digging a little bit deeper into what you already have.
Yeah.
It really goes to show that sometimes the biggest opportunities are hiding in plain sight. We just need to know where to look.
Absolutely. And that is really the tip of the iceberg. She goes on to share some really practical tips on how to actually cultivate those relationships once you've identified those potential major gift donors.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting,
Yeah.
right? Because fundraising, major gift fundraising especially, it's all about building those relationships. But that takes time. And let's be honest, time is something that most development professionals were lacking.
Yeah, the time crunch, it's a challenge she hears all the time from people she works with. And she has a pretty, no-nonsense approach to tackling this. She says, instead of trying to do it all, because we all try to do it all, you have to be really ruthless about prioritizing.
Hmm.
Even if you can only block out 2 to 3 hours a week solely dedicated to major gift cultivation, that can make a world of difference.
I was just going to say 2 to 3 hours, that doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But when you actually have it blocked off, you're like, this is what I'm doing for the next 3 hours,
It makes such a difference.
nothing else.
Yeah.
And those focus blocks of time can really add up. Does she have any examples of how that's actually worked?
Oh, absolutely. She tells this great story about this one development director who is just drowning in to-do lists, like constantly being pulled in a million different directions. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
But by implementing this very simple time blocking technique, she was able to carve out that time. And what happened? She saw a 25% increase in major gift revenue within a year.
It's a lot.
It's huge.
That's a significant jump. And that's just from organizing your time a little bit. Proof that sometimes the smallest changes can have the biggest impact.
Mhm.
It's not always about, working harder. It's about working smarter.
Exactly. And that brings us to another really crucial element of successful major gift fundraising, the board.
The board.
Mhm.
So important, yet sometimes, how do we say this diplomatically? They require a certain finesse.
A finesse, yes. Tammy, actually, she compares engaging board members to herding cats. So
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Been there.
she gets it. But at the end of the day, we know that their involvement, especially with major gifts, is crucial. They have those networks
Yes, incredible networks.
that, we can only dream of.
Connections.
Yes.
So we know they're important, so how do we wrangle those cats? How do we get them on board?
She emphasizes that it's not about just throwing them into the deep end and hoping for the best. It's about education. It's about setting those clear expectations. So she's a big advocate for having workshops specifically for board members.
Workshops, specifically for board members.
Mhm.
That's interesting. What kind of things does she focus on in those sessions?
It's all about empowering them to be those effective ambassadors for the organization. So she helps them understand the nuances of major gift fundraising, the importance of building those relationships, and then their unique role in that process. And it's not just about talking. She actually gives them very specific, manageable tasks,
Yeah.
like making thank you calls to major donors or hosting small, intimate gatherings.
That's so smart. Instead of just saying, hey, go network, go bring us those big donations, you're giving them the tools and the confidence, I would imagine, to kind of leverage their connections in a way that feels authentic.
Exactly. And the results speak for themselves. Tammy shares that one organization saw a 40% increase in board-referred prospects after they started doing this.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
Board engagement, clearly not something to overlook.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what I think is everyone's least favorite part of this whole process, the ask.
Ah, yes, the art of the ask. It can be nerve-wracking, even for the most seasoned fundraiser. Knowing when to make the ask, how to frame it, gauging the donor's readiness, it's a delicate dance.
It really is. You don't want to rush it, but you also don't want to miss an opportunity, right?
Mhm.
So how does Tammy approach this very critical moment? Does she have any tips for making it feel less, well, awkward?
She's all about taking a very strategic, donor-centric approach. So instead of relying on, gut feeling, she emphasizes the importance of developing a really detailed cultivation plan for each major gift prospect.
So not a one-size-fits-all approach?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because each donor is different, their relationship with your organization is different, their giving capacity is different. And Tammy actually even uses a rating system
Oh.
to track each prospect's readiness.
A rating system. Okay, that's interesting. So that probably helps take some of the guesswork out of it. How does that work?
It's actually really clever. She looks at, a variety of factors. Their past giving history, their level of engagement with the organization, their known philanthropic interests, if you have that information. And she assigns them a rating based on their perceived readiness to consider a major gift. Again, it's not about pressuring anyone. It's about meeting them where they are.
That makes sense. You wouldn't propose on the first date, right? You've got to build that foundation.
Exactly, exactly. So this system helps to ensure that when you do make that ask, it's at the right time, it's in the right way, and it's tailored to that specific donor.
So it's less about making the ask and more about kind of creating the right conditions for a conversation
Yes.
about how they can be a part of it.
Yes, and Tammy's seen this work wonders. She talks about how this one healthcare foundation, they saw their major gift closure rate jump from 20% to 35% in a single year.
Wow.
just by doing this.
That's impressive. Just that more strategic, personalized approach can make such a difference.
It's about being human. It's about those relationships and recognizing that philanthropy, it's about connecting with people.
It's not just about the money, it's about the impact.
Yes. And that's what makes her approach so powerful because she gets that. She understands that these major gifts, it's not transactional, it's about those partnerships that lead to lasting change.
And that brings us back to the heart of what we're talking about today, which is building a major gifts program that really thrives. And we've covered a lot of ground, from identifying prospects to engaging the board to, even the scary part, the ask. But it all comes down to having that solid pipeline in place.
And the good news is, building that strong major gifts pipeline, it's achievable.
Okay, good.
It doesn't matter how big or small your organization is or your budget. It takes dedication, it takes a willingness to try something new and be strategic, and then that passion.
And speaking of dedication, Tammy shares some really inspiring stories, I think, in this article about how these strategies have actually translated into real-world success. And we're not just talking about like a little bit of growth here. We're talking about organizations that have like doubled or even tripled their major gift revenue.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it shows that, having a game plan, having that structure in place makes a huge difference. And one of the biggest takeaways for me from Tammy's work is that it's not this impossible thing, like anybody can do this. It's just about being willing to put in the work and build those relationships and ask.
It's that combination, right? The strategy and then also the human connection.
Yes.
But I love how she ends the article because it's on such a powerful note, but it's also approachable.
Uh-huh.
She says, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically every major donor relationship, every transformative gift starts with a single conversation.
I love that. It makes it so much less intimidating, because we're not talking about, oh, you need this huge endowment, you need to have all these millionaires on speed dial. It's really not about that. It's about connecting.
It really does put things into perspective and makes me think about all those potential conversations out there,
Right.
waiting to happen, waiting to be had.
Exactly. And it can start anywhere, right? It could be at a fundraising event. It could be through a mutual friend, or it could even just be as simple as like reaching out to someone whose work you admire.
Yeah, just invite them for coffee.
Exactly.
Why not, right? What's the worst that could happen? So for anyone listening, maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. We've thrown a lot of information at you, maybe even a little intimidated by this whole major gifts thing.
Mhm.
But Tammy's message is really clear, which is start small, take a deep breath, and just start talking.
Just start talking.
Because you never know where that one conversation could lead. It could be the thing that sparks this amazing gift, not just to your organization, but also, to the lives that you all touch.
Nicely said.
So we're going to wrap up this deep dive here, but the learning doesn't have to stop here. We encourage you to check out Tammy's article. She's got so much good information in there, and who knows, maybe even reach out to someone, start a conversation of your own.
You never know.
Until next time.